You're the pilot chosen for a mission that should never exist. Sitting alone in the cockpit at 32,000 feet, where the sky feels endless and empty. Yet heavier than anything you've ever known, because tonight, you're not just flying an aircraft here, carrying a decision that could erase an entire city in seconds. The dashboard glows softly in front of you, systems humming in perfect order. Everything running exactly as it was designed to, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Because nothing about this moment should feel normal, yet it does. And your voice, steady but distant, reminds you that you were trained for this. Conditioned to follow commands without hesitation, to trust the chain of command, to become a part of something larger than yourself. Something that doesn't stop to question, something that simply executes. The system interrupts your thoughts with cold precision, confirming coordinates, locking the target, arming the weapon with a quiet mechanical click that echoes far louder in your mind than it does in reality. And in that instant, the weight of what you're about to do settles into your chest like gravity itself has doubled, because below you, hidden beneath layers of darkness and clouds, is not just a point on a map, not just a strategic objective, but a living, breathing city, filled with people who have no idea that their existence is now measured in seconds. You try not to think about them. You were told not to. You repeat the words drilled into you during training: targets, not people; objectives, not lives; mission, not morality, but your mind refuses to obey, drifting instead to imagined scenes of ordinary life: a child laughing in a narrow street, a man closing his shop for the night, a mother adjusting a blanket over her sleeping child. Moments so simple and human that they make your chest tighten, and you realize that no amount of training can truly prepare someone to disconnect from that reality. The system requests your authorization code, and your fingers move almost automatically, muscle memory taking over as you enter each digit with mechanical precision. Yet each beep feels heavier than the last, as if every number is a step closer to something irreversible, something final. And when the system confirms authorization, there's a shift inside you, a quiet but undeniable realization that you are now standing at the edge of a line that cannot be uncrossed. The silence that follows is deafening, broken only by your breathing and the low hum of the aircraft. And you find yourself staring out into the darkness, wondering if anyone down there has looked up at the sky tonight, wondering if they would feel anything different if they knew what was above them, if they would hold their loved ones a little tighter, if they would say something they've been meaning to say, or if they would simply go on, unaware, as people always do. The countdown begins, and suddenly time becomes something tangible. Something you can feel slipping through your fingers as each second passes. Your heart beating louder, faster. Your hand hovering over the release mechanism that looks so small, so insignificant, yet carries a consequence so massive it's almost impossible to comprehend. And you think about the word necessary. How easily it's used by those far away from moments like this. How decisions made in distant rooms become actions carried out by people like you. And you wonder if necessity is just another word used to make the unbearable seem acceptable. Your thoughts spiral as the seconds tick down, flashes of your own life appearing, uninvited memories of who you were before the uniform, before the responsibility, before this moment when decisions were simple and consequences were small. And you question how you got here, how anyone gets here, standing at the intersection of duty and humanity, where every choice defines not just what you do, but who you become. The system continues its countdown, its voice calm and indifferent, as if this is just another routine procedure. But for you, everything feels like it's unraveling, your breath becoming uneven, your vision narrowing, your hand trembling despite all your training. And then a thought cuts through the noise. Sharp and undeniable: what if you don't? What if you simply choose not to? What if the chain breaks with you? The idea feels almost forbidden, something you were never meant to consider. Yet now, it's all you can think about, because for the first time, you realize that you still have control. That despite everything, despite the orders and the expectations, and the consequences, this final moment belongs to you, and you alone. The countdown reaches its final seconds, each number hitting harder than the last. Your mind a battlefield of conflicting voices, one demanding obedience, the other pleading for restraint. And as the final second fades into silence, the world seems to hold its breath along with you, your finger resting on the trigger, the weight of history pressing down, and in that suspended moment, you understand that this is not just about a mission, not just about a target, but about the kind of person you choose to be when everything is on the line. Instead of pressing down, your hand pulls back, slowly at first, then with certainty. Breaking the sequence, defying the expectation, choosing stillness over action, and immediately the system reacts. Alarms beginning to sound, warnings flashing. Voices demanding compliance, labeling your decision as failure, as violation, as something that must be corrected. But for the first time since this mission began, the noise doesn't control you. Because beneath it, there's a quiet clarity, a realization that some lines, once crossed, cannot be undone, and that refusing to cross them is its own kind of strength. You sit back in your seat, your body heavy with exhaustion and adrenaline, your hands still shaking, your heart still racing, yet beneath it all, there's a strange sense of relief, because somewhere below, a city continues to exist. People continue to breathe, lives continue to unfold in ways they never will know were almost taken from them. And as the aircraft begins to turn, as the horizon slowly shifts and the first light of dawn begins to break through the darkness, you watch as the sky transforms, the deep black giving way to shades of gold and orange, a sunrise that feels more meaningful than any you've ever seen, because it represents something you chose to protect. The system continues to issue commands, to demand your return, to remind you of the consequences that await. But in this moment, those consequences feel distant compared to the certainty of what you've done, or rather, what you've chosen not to do. And you realize that history is often defined by actions taken, by decisions that change the course of events in visible, undeniable ways. But sometimes, the most important moments are the ones that leave no mark, the ones where destruction is avoided, where silence replaces chaos, where a choice not made becomes the reason everything else continues. As you fly toward the rising sun, leaving the target behind, you understand that this moment will stay with you forever, that it will define you in ways no one else may ever fully understand. And that while the world may never know how close it came to losing something irreplaceable, you will always know, and that knowledge will carry its own weight, its own burden, but also its own sense of purpose, because in a world where power often means the ability to destroy, you chose something different. You chose restraint. You chose humanity, and in doing so, you proved that not every weapon that's armed has to be used. And not every order has to be followed, because sometimes the hardest decision isn't pulling the trigger, it's finding the strength to walk away from it,